My older brother called me a waste of space in front of our entire family at Thanksgiving, saying I'd never be as successful as him. He didn't know I'd just been offered a full scholarship to an Ivy League school. Now he's begging me to help his kid get in. Nope, not happening. Thanksgiving dinner. The table is set with Mom's best china, a golden brown turkey in the center, steaming bowls of mashed potatoes and stuffing all around. The whole family is there: Mom, Dad, my grandma, a couple of aunts and uncles, my cousins, and of course him, my older brother, Dave, the golden child, the one who can do no wrong in my parents' eyes. I was sitting there pushing green bean casserole around my plate, trying to stay quiet and inconspicuous. I had a secret burning on the tip of my tongue. I was practically buzzing inside with it, but I wanted to wait for the right moment to say it. I thought maybe after dessert, or when everyone was relaxing, I'd drop the news. But Dave just couldn't let me have one single moment. He never can. He was holding court at the table, bragging about his new promotion at work, how his boss said he's on track for a six-figure bonus this year. My parents beamed at him like he hung the damn moon. My cousins listened wide-eyed, clearly impressed. And me? I just sat there, biting my lip, thinking just wait. You'll all be surprised soon. I guess I must have had a little smile on my face or something thinking about my own news, because suddenly Dave's laser eyes zeroed in on me. What are you smirking at? He snapped across the table. I froze. Nothing, I mumbled, immediately shrinking. My heart started pounding because I know that tone. It's the tone he used to use when we were kids, right before he'd find some way to humiliate me. Nothing, ha! Dave scoffed loud enough for everyone to hear. You finding this funny or something? Please, enlighten us what you have going on that's so amusing. There was an awkward silence. I felt all eyes shift to me. My cheeks were burning. I stammered, it's nothing. I was just thinking about something. He sneered. Thinking, ha, that's new for you. A couple of my younger cousins snickered. I wanted to sink into my chair and disappear. I shot a pleading look at my mom, hoping she'd intervene. She just gave me a soft, sympathetic smile but didn't say anything. Dad was carving another slice of turkey, pretending not to hear. Typical. They never stand up to him. He's the eldest, the achiever, their pride and joy. He gets away with murder, and I'm left to fend for myself. I swallowed hard and tried to let it go. Just shut up, don't engage, I told myself. Years of experience had taught me that, but Dave wasn't about to let it drop. He leaned back in his chair, swirled the wine in his glass like some smug businessman, which, to be fair, he is, and said, You know, I gotta hand it to you, little bro, you've got the life. Sit around doing nothing, smirking at other people's success. Must be nice not having any of your own responsibilities or accomplishments to worry about. My stomach clenched. I could feel tears pricking at the back of my eyes, but I refused to cry in front of him. I could practically taste the words I wanted to throw back at him. I wanted to shout, I do have accomplishments. You don't even know. But the retort jammed in my throat. I glanced around the table. My Uncle Rob looked down at his plate, clearly uncomfortable. My grandma was frowning at Dave, but she's like 85 and hard of hearing. I'm not even sure she caught what he said. My cousin Emily raised her eyebrows at me like, Are you gonna take that? I didn't want to ruin Thanksgiving. This was supposed to be a happy day. I'd imagined this moment so differently in my head. I'd tell everyone my big news, they'd all be proud and excited, maybe Mom would cry happy tears. Instead I was on the verge of crying for a whole other reason. Dave wasn't done. He's never done until he draws blood. He smirked and continued, What are you now, 18? And what do you have to show for it? You living in Mom and Dad's basement for the rest of your life or what? I opened my mouth to speak, but he steamrolled right over me, his voice rising dramatically as if he was some comedian delivering a punchline. Face it, you peaked in high school, and even that wasn't much of a peak. You're basically a waste of space. At least I'm contributing to society. You'll be lucky if you're not flipping burgers or playing video games on their couch the next 5 years. Waste of space. The words hung in the air like a foul smell. My throat closed up. It felt like the floor had opened underneath me and I was in free fall, plummeting while everyone watched. I heard a couple gasps. My Aunt Linda murmured, Oh my God, Dave, in a disapproving tone. Dad finally stopped carving the turkey, his jaw set tight, but still he said nothing to defend me. Mom reached over and put her hand on mine, a tiny gesture that said everything she couldn't say out loud. I'm sorry. I can't stop him. For a second, all I could hear was the blood rushing in my ears. I stared at my plate, my vision blurring with hot tears that I refused to shed. My face was burning with shame and rage. This was the moment I snapped. I pushed my chair back with a loud scrape. It took every ounce of willpower not to burst into tears as I stood up on shaky legs. You want to know what I have to show for myself? I shouted, my voice trembling but finally cutting through his tirade. All heads turned to me. I never raise my voice. Hell, I barely speak when Dave is around. But now I was practically yelling. My heart was in my throat, pounding out of my chest. Years of pent-up frustration poured out of me. Dave looked taken aback that I'd actually stood up to him. He recovered quickly and gave me a mocking grin. Yeah, actually. Entertain us, he snorted, waving a hand grandly like I was a court jester. Please, share your big accomplishments with the family. This should be good. My hands were shaking. I remember clenching them into fists so no one would see. This was it. Not how I planned it, but screw it. He wanted to be entertained? Fine. I'd give him one hell of a show. You want to hear one of my accomplishments, Dave? I said, my voice cracking only slightly. A wild, bitter smile spread across my face. Alright, how about this? I just got accepted to Harvard. With a full goddamn scholarship. Silence. Absolute, freaking dead silence. You could hear the clock ticking in the living room. You could hear the fire crackling in the fireplace. You could probably hear everyone's jaws hitting the floor. Dave just stared at me, blinking like he wasn't sure he heard right. His smug smile melted off his face in an instant. What? He finally sputtered, letting out a short, disbelieving laugh. Harvard? You're kidding, right? I felt a hot tear escape down my cheek, but it wasn't a sad tear this time. It was relief, anger, triumph, all of it mixed together. I let out a shaky breath and pulled a folded letter out of my pocket with trembling fingers. I'd brought it with me, planning to show everyone later. Now I practically flung it across the table at him. Read it, I said, voice like steel. He didn't move, so Dad reached for it instead. He adjusted his glasses and as he read, his eyes got whiter and whiter. Oh my, it says full tuition, room and board, he murmured, astonished. Mom gasped and snatched the letter from him to see for herself. I'll never forget her voice, the way it wavered when she read aloud, congratulations, Harvard class of 2029, full scholarship. Then she looked at me, eyes overflowing with tears. Honey, why didn't you tell us? She cried. I stood there, chest heaving, adrenaline coursing through me. I looked straight at Dave. I was going to tell you all tonight, I said pointedly. But someone decided to go off about how I'm a worthless loser before I even got the chance. All eyes swung to Dave. If the situation hadn't been so intense, I might have laughed at his face. The great Dave, my brother who always had a comeback or a snarky remark, was sitting there with his mouth opening and closing like a fish. No sound. My grandma suddenly piped up in her quavery voice, did he say Harvard? That's wonderful. She beamed at me, then shot a glare at Dave that could have fried an egg. Not bad for a waste of space, David, she said sharply. I almost choked. Grandma, savage as hell at 85. Somewhere down the table my cousin Emily snorted into her drink, and Uncle Rob muttered, Jesus, Dave. The color drained from Dave's face. He looked like someone had dunked him in cold water. I didn't know, he stammered. He let out a weak laugh, trying to save face. Come on, how was I supposed to know? You never said anything. Harvard, wow. That's great news, really. I just stared at him, years of hurt and anger written all over my face. Suddenly I was remembering every time he'd belittled me, when I got a B on a math test and he'd called me stupid, when he waved his fancy new laptop in my face while I was stuck with his crappy old hand-me-down, when he showed up late to my high school graduation and acted like it was some huge favor to me. All of it. Yeah, it is great news, I said bitterly. My whole body was shaking now that the adrenaline was wearing off. I could feel tears of rage and triumph threatening to fall. Too bad you had to be a complete asshole right before finding out. Language, Mom hissed automatically, but she was still clutching that Harvard letter like it was gold, and glaring daggers at Dave. He's right, though. That was completely uncalled for, David. It might have been the first time I'd ever heard Mom openly scold him for how he treated me. If I hadn't been so frazzled, I'd have savored it. I couldn't stand to be there anymore. My head was spinning, my heart felt like it was about to explode out of my chest. So I did the only thing I could think of, I turned and walked out. I grabbed my coat from the hallway and stormed out the front door into the cold November night. I just needed to get away, to breathe. I paced on the porch, my breath turning to white clouds. My hands were shaking uncontrollably. After a few minutes, my cousin Emily came out to check on me. She found me wiping furious tears off my face. Em gave me a tight hug and let me vent for a minute about what an absolute jerk Dave was. She told me how proud she was of me, how I shouldn't let him ruin my big moment. Honestly, I was barely holding it together, but her support helped me catch my breath. Eventually, I went back inside. My parents looked shell-shocked, and the rest of the family was dead quiet. Dave was out on the back patio, apparently also trying to cool off. The moment I walked in, Mom rushed over and hugged me, apologizing over and over for what happened. Dad looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time. A minute later, Dave shuffled back in, looking like a chastened dog. For the first time I can remember, he actually apologized to me. In front of everyone. He mumbled something about how he didn't mean it and he was sorry. I just stood there, arms crossed, staring at him. I was still too angry to trust myself to speak much. His voice cracked as he said, "I'm proud of you, okay? I know I don't say it enough." I was out of line. He even admitted, "I guess I was a little jealous." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It all felt so strange and long overdue. I didn't give him the satisfaction of a big hallmark moment. I just nodded and said, "Okay. That's it. Okay." Because what else was I supposed to do? We weren't about to hug it out and sing Kumbaya. I was done with him at that point. We all sat back down eventually, but the dinner was effectively over. I didn't have an appetite left anyway. After a bit, I quietly excused myself and left. I needed space. I avoided Dave as much as possible after that. He flew back to Seattle the next day, and we didn't talk for a while. He texted me another apology, and I gave some non-committal response. I was still too hurt and frankly too satisfied seeing him knock down a peg. Now fast forward a few years. I'm 21 now, about to graduate from Harvard. Still surreal to say that. College has been amazing, hard as hell sometimes, but worth it. I even have a job offer waiting for me after graduation. My life is on track, and I've proved to myself and everyone else that I'm not some loser or waste of space. As for Dave, he's still doing well in his career out west. We've been civil since that Thanksgiving, even friendly at times at family gatherings, but we're not close. He doesn't bring up what happened, and neither do I. It's like an uneasy truce. Fine by me. So imagine my surprise when out of the blue, I get a phone call from him last week. We rarely call each other, so I picked up thinking maybe something was wrong. He starts with awkward small talk, asking about school and my plans after graduation. Then he clears his throat and gets to the point. His daughter, my niece Ava, is a junior in high school now, and she has her heart set on attending Harvard. I'm listening, still not sure where I come into this. He goes on about how competitive it is, how she's anxious about getting in. I just say, that's tough, waiting for him to get to the ask. My lips are already twitching in a bitter smile because I can feel it coming. Finally he sighs and says, "Look, I was wondering if you might be able to help her out? You know, maybe give her some advice, or put in a good word. I mean, since you're going there, maybe you know some admissions people or something." There it is. The big ask. My dear brother, who once confidently declared I'd never amount to anything, is now coming to me for help to get his kid into the school I busted my ass to get into. You can't make this stuff up. I was quiet for a long moment, just letting that delicious irony hang in the air. I think he took my silence as hesitation, because he kept talking rambling. Really. He said Ava really admires me, that it would mean a lot to her to have my guidance. He even dropped that he's proud of me again, that I've become the academic star of the family. Ha, now I'm the star. When I finally spoke, my voice was icy. So let me get this straight, I said slowly. You want my help? From me, the waste of space you humiliated in front of everyone. He was dead silent. I definitely hit the mark. Look, I know I screwed up back then, he said, almost whispering. I'm sorry, alright? I've been meaning to properly apologize. He paused, then pleaded, this isn't about me or you though. It's about Ava. Don't punish her for my mistakes. She really looks up to you, you know. I had to take a deep breath because, truth be told, I love my niece. She's a good kid, and none of this is her fault. The last thing I'd ever do is hurt her or sabotage her dreams to get back at her dad. I'm not that kind of monster. I'm not going to punish her, I said evenly. If she wants to talk to me, I'll give her general advice about the process, like I would for any kid who asks. But as far as special favors go, I don't have any magic pull, and I wouldn't use it for you even if I did. He started to say something, but I was on a roll now, years of bitterness dripping from my voice. You know what's funny? You only ever seem to respect me or apologize when you need something. It was true 3 years ago and it's true now. You're not sorry you treated me like crap, you're just sorry it bit you in the ass. He fell quiet again, just a strained "I really am sorry," trailing off. I was done. I told him, I've got nothing more to say to you about this. I'll help Ava as much as I can, because I care about her. But you can figure out the rest yourself. Before he could say anything else, I ended the call. I sat there for a while afterward, shaking with a mix of anger and satisfaction. The audacity of him, but also, how far I've come. The kid he once called a useless waste of space is now successful enough that he's begging for my help. If that isn't poetic justice, I don't know what is. And yes, I will help my niece with her college apps in a normal way, she deserves the world. But I sure as hell won't lift a finger for him beyond that. It's petty, I know, but it feels so damn good. So that's my confession, I guess. My brother tore me down for years, and when I finally got a chance to prove him wrong, I took it and then some. Now he's tasting the consequences of his own words. I don't plan to let him forget it anytime soon. Call it revenge, call it justice. I call it long overdue. And I have zero regrets. TLDR, my arrogant older brother publicly called me a waste of space and said I'd never succeed. Unbeknownst to him, I'd just gotten a full ride to Harvard. I revealed it and humiliated him in front of our whole family. Years later, he tried to ask me to help his daughter get into Harvard. I told him to shove it, politely, and it felt amazing.